Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty. There's a lot of stuff going on in the gaming industry right now, especially on Xbox's corner. In terms of Game Pass, there's a lot of stuff being talked about, from raising the prices of Game Pass to restructuring how Game Pass operates to some degree on certain tiers. And now, 24 hours later, it's looking like we're getting a little bit of more insight on to, maybe why they're doing this, why they're choosing this timing to do this. What's going on, you guys? Gaming Guide here, coming at you with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Modern Warfare 3 coming to Xbox Game Pass this month. It has been rumored for a while that the Call of Duties are going to start leaking into this service. Now, I think we can all agree that Call of Duty is such a momentum title that it is one of the very few games, if there is a game, that's going to make Call of Duty more mainstream, or Game Pass more mainstream, not Call of Duty. It would be Call of Duty. Now, Modern Warfare 3, I'm not a Call of Duty person, but from what I could tell, people really enjoyed Call of Duty 3, Modern Warfare 3. So let's go over here to Tom Henderson. He made a post. Modern Warfare 3 is set to come to Xbox Game Pass this month. Now, if you click on this, you can see from we have here, Microsoft is set to launch Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 to Game Pass later this month. Let me move this a little bit for you guys. When it comes to exactly what's going on with Call of Duty, I think we just got a lot of stuff that's going on. But, Call of Duty has always been something that we knew was coming, right? Like, I don't think anyone did not think this was not happening. But Microsoft is set to launch Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 in Game Pass later this month. The 2023 Call of Duty title will mark the first of the older Call of Duties coming to Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass, developed by Sledgehammer Games. The game generally received positive reviews from the community. Like I said, for the most part, I'm seeing nothing but positive stuff when it comes to this particular Call of Duty. But critics found its single-player game content too short and lackluster. Remember, I made a couple of videos on that, actually, saying, giving a Call of Duty campaign a 4 out of 10 is kind of crazy to me, but we're going to move on from that. It's understood that the announcement could come as soon as today, which is believed to be the original plan for the Xbox Game Pass increase in charges. The subscription service increased by as much as 25% in some regions. All right. First off, you guys know how I feel about the Call of Duty thing. You guys know that I'm not the biggest ABK fan. But what I will say is, even though I'm not a Call of Duty person, even though I'm not an ABK person in general, a lot of their titles doesn't really apply to me. I have to bend the knee to the strength and the power of Call of Duty. There's really not many titles that's bigger than Call of Duty. Now, you can make the argument like a GTA maybe. I would say GTA definitely has some staying power, but Call of Duty, I would say, is a bigger platform than something like a GTA. I don't know. You guys put in the comment section below what you guys think is a stronger name, GTA or Call of Duty. I'm leaning more towards Call of Duty. I can say Minecraft's on that same level too. Lord Cognito from the Iron Lords podcast likes to call them the Sinners to Six. These games are so iconic in the industry that they make waves by themselves. They are the definition of casual audience. A lot of these people buy these consoles just for these platforms. And the fact that Microsoft is able to not only get Black Ops 6, which you could argue is one of the fan favorites of Call of Duty, which is the Black Ops franchise, you can make the argument that now, since they're going to put Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 in there, it's going to, build up that hype going to Black Ops. Now, first off, let's make this very clear. This has not been confirmed to my knowledge at this moment making this video. Right now, it's completely speculation, but I've heard things similar, and people like Jess Corden are co-signing this rumor. So most likely this is it, and it makes sense with the Xbox Game Pass increase that was generally leaked to my expectation. I think that was leaked. So that's probably why something felt missing yesterday when this Game Pass thing was announced, because this was supposed to come with it. They're supposed to hit you with the price increase, but also say, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is coming to Game Pass. One thing I will say when it comes to ABK games in general coming to Game Pass is I'm very curious why it's taking so long to get some of these games in Game Pass. If you guys remember when they bought Bethesda, the last big publisher they bought, pretty much all of their games went in Game Pass almost immediately. Now, maybe it took a couple months, but they took those initial steps relatively early on in the acquisition process. I remember almost immediately stuff like Dishonored was being put back into Game Pass because it was going out, or it was either it was out of Game Pass or it was about to go out of Game Pass, and they kept it in there. It was no longer leaving Game Pass. I remember they put Doom Eternal in there really fast, kind of like a Diablo kind of thing, where they are putting that in there. All the Bethesda games eventually went in there, but to me, maybe it's around the same time frame. It's just I played those games, so I didn't play them right when they come into Game Pass. It is interesting to see how long it's been. I know the Tony Hawk games are part of the ABK stuff. I know that the Spyro games, the Crash Bandicoot games. I'm kind of curious on Sekiro Shadow Dice Twice. Activision published that game. So I'm wondering if Microsoft is able to pull some strings behind closed doors and get that game in Game Pass as well. Maybe that's a variety of things that's going wrong here. There are certain games that Microsoft's holding close to the chest. I would say the Spyro games, the Crash Bandicoot games, but maybe it's a lot of licensing that they're having issues with. That's why you're not seeing these games hit Game Pass sooner rather than later. I do think that it is interesting that we're going to see a Modern Warfare 3 come into Game Pass later this month, when it could have been followed with some of the 360 games, some of the older games that's coming before that. Maybe there's some type of contract with PlayStation preventing them from putting some of these games in Game Pass. It's a very interesting conversation. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. Look, I've been very vocal. I'm not for raising prices. I understand it. Not really the biggest issue I had with yesterday. My issue is mainly on how they're treating the Xbox console consumer versus everyone else. I do feel like if you are an Xbox console consumer, you should feel a way to a certain degree in terms of how Microsoft and Xbox are treating you. But I cannot take away from the fact that having Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, which is the brand new installment to the Call of Duty franchise. Keep in mind, these are yearly installments, so it's not as big now because it came out months ago. But all that leading up to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 coming to Game Pass day and date, I feel is going to do momentum traction for the Xbox platform because it's part of Game Pass, and I think it's going to help boost your Game Pass sales in general. And it's interesting, man. I think we're at a weird standpoint where I'm very curious to see where they stand depending on the results of Call of Duty going into Game Pass. If they hit their metrics that they internally have, I'm sure they'll do it next year. But what happens if they don't? Very curious to see what happens in the next 6 months in terms of Call of Duty going into Game Pass, and I'm very interested to see how everything gets in resulted with this. No one can deny that Call of Duty is the game to push on to a mainstream audience, because that is literally the game that the mainstream audience plays. You can't get more mainstream than Call of Duty than maybe a 2K or something, but still, Call of Duty is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, mainstream audience, and is by far the best game that you could put into Game Pass to grow its subscriptions. And I think we're going to find a lot about how Microsoft's going to handle the future of Game Pass going forward. But anyway, hit that like button if you guys enjoyed this video. You can always sub to the channel. We're getting back to making weekly content. You can always like the video if you enjoyed it. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at LordAddictILP. I also have a streaming channel known as Addict Arena. All that's in the description below. Appreciate all the support you guys have. Until next time, have a good one. Peace. Oh, Call of Duty going in Game Pass is going to be a momentum experience, and that's just Modern Warfare. Not to mention Black Ops 6 coming out later this year. Oh, it's going to be very interesting.